welcome back to my YouTube channel and welcome back to, I think, the third day in a row of an update with this Ethan Klein lawsuit where he is getting sued by Ryan Kavanagh, who is part of Triller, but is telling us that he's not part of Triller, so take with that what you will. Okay, the reason that there are so many updates happening to this is because there are so many new documents being put forward weekly, daily even, and this time, kind of what people have suspected has happened, which is, I don't know if you remember, but a good couple months ago now, the H3H3 channel actually got suspended from YouTube for posting for 1 week. So within that week, they didn't post on any of their channels, obviously, none of the highlights channels, none of the main channels. They were just gone for a week because they got the kind of reports from YouTube, and then YouTube stepped in and basically stopped them from posting for a week. Now, whenever that was happening, the narrative that was kind of pushed by H3, what the fans believed, what the YouTube community believed, was that that was because of Keemstar. Now, we do not know who did that. He obviously got his content reported by someone who the content was about, and therefore YouTube stepped in defense of that person. Now, it could still be Keemstar. A lot of people do believe that it was Keemstar just because at that specific time right before it, there was, you know, content back and forth between Ethan and Keemstar, so it could have been that. But also now people are looking at it in a different light. They're like, oh, this could have actually been Ryan Kavanagh who spoke to YouTube and got them, you know, taken off for a week, allegedly, just speculating. I mean, you have to say all that. And the reason that this is kind of more believable than the Keemstar thing, because, okay, listen, I know all of our opinions on Keemstar, but I've always said that with Keemstar, I never feel like he would actually want Ethan deleted off YouTube because, you know, for as much as Keemstar is telling us that he's, you know, not divorced, divorce babe, divorce, who remembers that Adele live? No, as much as he tells us that he's retired, he's actually not. He's going in March, and if he even goes then, we'll see, from Drama Alert, but he'll still be on social media. So for, you know, Ethan to be removed from online, that's a really big back and forth between Keemstar for content, and it's something that's so easily available if there's ever no news, you know what I mean? Like, Ethan and Keemstar can battle it out again, kind of the same way that it happened between Trisha Paytas and Gabby Hanna. However, Gabby Hanna's like gone now, whatever, it doesn't even apply. But that's kind of where I'm at with Keemstar. So I'm like, why would Keemstar want Ethan removed? Because that really is a big back and forth with him. However, I also see the complete side that, yeah, like, Keemstar wants to win and gets him removed or whatever. I personally just believe, out of speculating only, my own personal speculation, that it would make more sense for Ryan Kavanagh to have been the one that put in the strike from YouTube to Ethan, because the lawsuit of Ryan now suing Ethan literally states that at the end of this lawsuit, Ryan Kavanagh wants Ethan Klein's YouTube channel permanently deleted. So, you know, getting him removed for a week seems like part one of that, right? And it's also important to note that regardless of whoever did that to Ethan's channel back a couple months ago, it was successful. They did get Ethan banned from posting for a week. So for a lot of people commenting like, oh, they'll never get anywhere with this lawsuit, or I don't even know why people are bothering talking about this. No, if you want to stand up for the community in terms of commentary, drama channel, just being able to use fair use videos, showing a video and then talking about it, or just the defamation fucking debate where it's like you can give an opinion on someone and how far is that defamation and just speaking your mind. All of that will be up for debate if Ethan loses this lawsuit. So for people being like, oh, like nothing will ever come of this, of course Ethan's gonna win, we can still talk about and highlight certain shady points of the lawsuit like we have with other YouTubers suing people, because we're gaining to that conversation and adding more to it. So if anything ever happens, we were all a part of it instead of just allowing it to happen to Ethan's channel, then affect, if you're watching this video, probably every single creator that you like to watch within the space. So anyway, there's been a lot of speculating about whether it was Keemstar back then. Now Keemstar is involved in the lawsuit against Ethan. Keemstar has gotten his way into the lawsuit, so it now has people split even more what Keemstar's involvement has been with Ryan Kavanagh, and whether they've been, you know, working together to take down Ethan, or maybe they've just been, you know, feeding information off of each other for one big lawsuit, or maybe separate things, or maybe they're just trying to get Ethan completely gone from YouTube. Maybe that's what they're working towards, and maybe I'm completely wrong, and maybe Keemstar does just want him gone. You know, if Keemstar actually is retiring in March, he'll probably be like, ah, fuck it, get rid of Ethan too. So, okay, we have a lot to go through on Ethan's Twitter right now, and we also have the court documents that Keemstar is now involved in. So Keemstar is now a player in this court legal document. So in this lawsuit moving forward, I anticipate that this will go on for quite some time, because defamation lawsuits do go on for quite some time because there's a lot of back and forth. Then you have to prove how they ruined your business from Ryan to Ethan. Then you have to prove how you got loss of sales, because then that's the defamation that affects your work. There is a lot involved, and there will probably be a lot of petty back and forths between Ethan and Ryan. And what we're seeing has already started people who do not like Ethan getting in on the lawsuit to just double down more information to try and make Ethan look as bad as possible. Okay? So let's go through it, right? So first of all, if we're just going from the tweets, Ethan stated the following. He went live and then said, "This is an important one. Ryan Kavanagh has filed his third lawsuit against me and is trying to deplatform me." So again, it's not even a case of he's just trying to sue him. Ryan has literally said it in print that he wants Ethan Klein, from what we're seeing, if all of that is true, that he wants Ethan Klein's YouTube channel terminated from YouTube. Gone. So that was the first one. Again, I have 2 videos on this where we go into the first court documents and then we go into the statement that Ryan put out. I will link part 1 and part 2 below, Jesus Christ. Okay, so let's go on to see the following court documents, right? So Ethan tweeted and said, "I've long suspected Keemstar is working with Ryan Kavanagh to get my channel banned, to weaken fair use and to stifle free speech on YouTube. And this being included in the lawsuit is pretty compelling evidence to support that. Why on earth would they include this?" So in the actual court document filed by Ryan, it now states the following. So again, the argument that they're trying to prove is that Ethan is solely using his YouTube channel to take down other people, and Ryan is now being like, "Look, it's happened to Keemstar too. Oh my god, it happens with everyone." So that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to lump everyone into it. So it's kind of like, you know, Ethan has done this against all these creators, even though they're only listing 2 people who've had a problem with Ethan from like the very start. So like, okay, whatever. Klein's content is deliberately offensive, provocative, and inflammatory. Frequently, he mocks and harasses other social media personalities to attract attention and entertain viewers. Now that's really weird because they're saying that mocks and harasses, but if you're just adding your opinions or talking about public events that are happening, and maybe they're talking about you and you don't like how they're maybe showing you because maybe they're showing the darker side of what is online but haven't shown, or maybe they just have a negative opinion of you, that's whenever it's like mocking and harassing. Like, Jesus Christ, there was once a time on the internet where we could all literally say our opinions on people, and that's why I'm so surprised Keemstar is getting in on this, where it's like, you know, the defamation and lawsuit. Like, Keemstar, particularly, you should be someone who activates for free speech, because that's what you have done for the longest time. That's just where my confusion is coming from right now, but we'll see. And entertain viewers. Well, maybe they are entertained by it. And maybe a lot of them have the same opinion as Ethan. Like, again, it's the egos of these big businessmen that can't comprehend that maybe people don't like their products, or don't like them, don't like their shady business tactics. And, you know, it's none of that. It's just, you know, mob mentality, y'all. Fucking hell. For example, in August 2021, YouTube suspended Klein for 7 days for violating its harassment policy by posting content that degraded the 20-year-old girlfriend of another YouTube content creator, Daniel Keem. It's so wild hearing Keemstar's real name. It's like Daniel. Daniel's a nice name. I do like the name Daniel. It's just Daniel Keem. It's so interesting. Is Keem actually his surname? Hold on. This is the most research you're gonna get out of me. Keemstar, real name. Daniel Keem. That's a nice surname. Keem. I like short surnames. Not sore names, surnames. Keem. Interesting. This occurred during an episode of H3 After Dark, in which I love that Ryan Kavanagh is like sitting through like 3-4 hour long live streams from Ethan to find like little moments. He's got time on his hands, y'all. This occurred during an episode of H3 After Dark in which Klein had someone call into his show pretending to be Keem's girlfriend, who said that Keem cries during sex and has small genitalia. Now, okay, I'm gonna be honest. I watched that clip that happened during the podcast where they did that, where they had someone call in. I was actually watching live. I do like H3. I particularly didn't find that funny. I didn't find it funny from like a, you know, I like Keemstar point of view. I just thought it wasn't funny humor. Like, I was like, oh my god, we're like in 2008. It's interesting it being highlighted in a lawsuit, But in terms of this particular section where it's like calling in and pretending to be, you know, with YouTube's current guidelines, that is something that could be pushed, you know, and being like, YouTube, what's your opinion on this? And they obviously did have an opinion on it back in the day. But my honest opinion on that little segment they did about Keemstar's girlfriend, I didn't think it was funny. I thought it was like, like really young humor. Anyway, that was just my opinion on it. Following Klein's suspension, Keemstar posted a video on Twitter saying, "Justice has been served. He deserves it. It's well overdue. The stuff that is said on that podcast to bully and harass other creators would never fly on anyone else's channel. That show has been harassing so many fucking creators and so many fucking YouTubers." Now again, of course Keemstar is gonna lump that in, but it's like at the end of the day, Keemstar's talking about YouTubers, H3's talking about YouTubers, and it's just a matter of who gives more opinions. You know what I mean? Like, you look at social media platforms like Twitter, and there's never a debate on things being defamatory or whatever because YouTube's policies are just, you know, so blurred. And it's like, on any other social media, you can do the stuff that both Ethan and Keemstar are doing on YouTube, and it only is ever made an issue whenever someone wants to use it for their benefit, like a lawsuit. But it's like, at the end of the day, someone is literally just giving their opinion on something that's happening on a public field. And again, when you're a public figure, as hard as it is, you know, it happens to me as well because I'm classing that as well. You gotta take it. You gotta take it. If you're gonna dish it, you have to take it. And that goes for all of these people involved. And that's just my honest opinion in it. But whenever you start abusing that for like lawsuits and to silence people and completely change more policies on YouTube or completely change free speech or being able to use fair use videos, it's like, how much power do you want? Like, how much power do you want? So anyway, it goes on. So Ethan said, "I've long suspected this. Why would they include this in the lawsuit?" So it said, "Clearly the suggestion that Keemstar has a tiny penis and cries during sex upset him. I wonder why. Obviously, I'm not speculating here." So obviously just a little joke. And then he includes something else, which was, you know, Klein lost over his sponsorship. To this day, Klein routinely complains about Keemstar at length during his podcast, despite having received a suspension from YouTube for his attacks on Keemstar earlier this year. And I'm like, again, I've said this in each one of these videos. What legal court person is going to read all this and care? In the most respectful way, I mean that. They are going to be reading legal court documents about one party being upset involving another party that they were made fun of for having a 20-year-old girlfriend. Like, number one, did the court not have better things to worry about? Number two, how are they supposed to take all this seriously? Like, I understand they will because there's a lot of money being thrown in it. I'm sure the judge is going to want to keep this lawsuit going for as long and long and long as possible because they get more money the more it goes on and money comes out of both of these people's pockets, whatever. But seriously, this is so immature. Oi, it's just like, who is going to read through these paperwork things and be like, "Ooh, this is, wow, this is juicy. This is really juicy." Now, Ethan did go on to following tweet. He said this. He said, okay, "Keemstar's micro penis is now a matter of public interest." Okay, being 100% truthful with you right now, it's just me and you. I don't understand why Ethan's tweeting out jokes about it. Again, he can, and I'm sure he's running things past legal teams and stuff like that. But just from an outsider's point of view, the fact that Ryan is literally enlisting all of these people who are already very against Ethan and have already, you know, put him on a pedestal of like YouTube keeping track of him and stuff like that. Like, he has so many of these adding, that it, particularly to me, does not seem like the smartest thing to be like tweeting out stuff like this. And you know, this is a joke, right? I get it, haha. But this tweet is literally what he's being accused of doing in the lawsuit. So the legal team are then able to put forward, you know, we said this about him, that he was doing this, and then, you know, he had time to respond, and instead of responding, he went on his social media platforms and doubled down on the joke. As much as we find it funny, and as much as it really is just banter back and forth, there is now a legal proceeding with this, and to tweet out what you're being accused of doing, again, I just don't think it's the smartest thing to do, and I really feel like we're probably going to see this in a court document in a few days, I really, really, really do think that we're gonna see that, and if we do, I said it right here, this tweet about clearly the suggestion that Keemstar has a tiny penis and cries during sex upsets him, I wonder why. Obviously, I'm just speculating here. I think this one is less of a case than this one, but about Keemstar's micropenis is now a matter of public interest. Again, as funny as we find it, or as, you know, just like, haha, like making fun of whatever, this is probably going to end up in court documents at a later stage, and if Ryan is already throwing a lot of money at this lawsuit, I don't know how the court is going to go in Ethan's favor if they don't find this funny or they don't find this entire thing stupid, because they're going to be like, okay, so you're getting sued for this and you're making more jokes about not the lawsuit but what you're being accused of. You know, it really just does depend on how the judge looks at this, but you know, I particularly would not be tweeting out things like this, especially like this lawsuit. You know, like I'm sure Keemstar is going to say a lot more in this lawsuit, and I'm sure Ryan is going to enlist a whole bunch of other people. I wouldn't be surprised if James Charles ends up on this lawsuit for saying things against Ethan. And heck, people were like, do you think Trisha and Ryan Kavanagh are plotting against Ethan? And I was like, y'all, listen. I understand the full narrative with Trisha right now. Trisha Paytas is not going to get in on this lawsuit. It would not be a smart thing to do for Trisha ever, and nor do I think she'll ever like double down against anything in Ethan in court documents. So I do just want to put that out there as well. But in terms of this, I can see this getting very, very, very vicious very quickly now that Keemstar is being brought up in it. And you know, they're probably going to keep this lawsuit going for a year minimum if it doesn't get dismissed. I agree, Tyler. So, I want to know what your opinion is. Of course Keemstar's being brought up in the fucking court document for something that's so unrelated to him. Literally, so unrelated to him. This was about the fair use video with the Triller fight. Then it was about defamation. And now it's about Ethan making fun of the 20-year-old girlfriend drama that everyone was making fun of. And Keemstar even made fun of it whenever he broke up with her. I want to know your opinion. We'll talk about it below. I appreciate you watching and I appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Let's discuss. Okay, bye.